1. The friend who always listened first. We all want good friends, people who support us, people who understand. But the best friend I ever had did something very simple. He almost never spoke first. His name was Marcus. We met in college. He was the quiet one in the group. When we all talked over each other, laughing, arguing, sharing stories, Marcus just listened. He nodded. He smiled sometimes. He looked you in the eyes. But he waited. Always waited. Never jumped in. At first I thought he was shy. Shy means nervous about speaking. But no, he was choosing silence. One night after a bad breakup, I called him at 2 a.m. I was angry. I was crying. I talked for almost an hour, non-stop. He said almost nothing. Just hum. And, I hear you. And long pauses. When I finally stopped, exhausted, he asked one question. What do you need right now? Not advice. Not you'll be fine. Just that. I thought for a second. Then I said, I need to not feel alone. He replied softly, You're not. That was it. No long speech. But those 3 words felt heavier than any pep talk. Years later I asked him why he listened so much and spoke so little. He said, when someone is hurting, they don't need more noise. They need space to hear their own thoughts. If I talk first, I fill that space. If I listen first, they find their own answers. And usually, that's what they really want. Here's something science now confirms. The brain processes words better when it's not interrupted. When we feel truly heard, a part called the prefrontal cortex calms down. We make better decisions. We feel less stress. That's why real listening is not just waiting for your turn. It's giving full attention. Builds trust faster than any advice. Marcus and I are still friends. He still listens more than he talks. But when he does speak, everyone stops, because his words come after careful listening. They carry weight. If you want deeper friendships, try this. Next time someone shares something hard, don't rush to reply. Listen, really listen. Then ask, what do you need right now? Often, that one question is enough. You don't need to remember every detail. Just let the feeling stay. The power of listening first. Let your English ear enjoy the slow rhythm. That's plenty for today. The nurse who held hands more than she spoke. In hospitals, words are many. Doctors explain. Families ask. Machines beep. There was a nurse who used fewer words. Her name was Rosa. Night shift. Quiet ward. When patients were scared. Before surgery, after bad news, Rosa didn't talk much. She pulled up a chair, took their hand. She held it, warm, steady, sometimes for hours. Patients said it helped more than medicine. One woman, alone, terminal. Rosa sat every night, held her hand. No big talks, just presence. The woman whispered once, "You make the dark less dark." I asked Rosa why hands instead of words. She said softly, "Words can miss the heart. Hands don't lie. They say, 'I'm here,' without needing to explain. Touch releases oxytocin, calms fear, builds connection. Science knows this now, but Rosa knew it before studies. She retired last year. Patients still talk about her hands, how they felt safe. If someone is hurting near you, try holding a hand before speaking. Sometimes silence plus touch says everything needed. Let this warmth linger. Slow, gentle English for peaceful nights. The writer who published one sentence a day. Writers often chase volume, pages, chapters, deadlines. There was one who chose one sentence. His name was Theo. He wrote novels once. Then life slowed him, illness, loss. He decided, one good sentence per day. No more, no less. He sat at his desk each morning, thought, waited, wrote one line, published it online, a small blog. Nothing fancy. People started reading. One sentence at a time. They waited for it, like mail in the morning. Years passed. Thousands of sentences. They became a book, quiet, honest. I asked why one sentence. He said, one sentence forces honesty. You can't hide in extra words. You have to mean it, and meaning matters more than length. We overload ourselves, too many tasks, too many posts, too many goals. Quality gets lost. One thing done well beats many things half done. Theo still writes one sentence daily. His readers say it's the highlight of their day. Try it sometime. One thoughtful line, one kind act, one deep breath. Small can be powerful. Let this rest like a single clear note. Calm, simple English to carry with you. The runner who stopped to walk. Runners chase speed, miles, personal bests. They push through pain. There was one who learned to stop. Her name was Elena. She ran marathons for years. Early mornings, training plans, medals on the wall. Then one race changed her. Halfway through, her knee gave out. Sharp pain. She couldn't run. But the finish line was still far. Most would quit or limp angrily. Elena started walking. Slow, steady. One foot in front of the other. People passed her. She smiled at them, waved, kept walking. She noticed things she never saw before. Birds in the trees, a child waving from a porch, the way light hit the river. She finished last, but she finished. After that, she stopped racing so hard. She still ran, but sometimes she walked, on purpose. She told me, running taught me discipline. Walking taught me presence. Both matter. We live in a running world. Hustle, grind, faster. But pausing, really pausing, lets us feel the ground. Hear our breath. See what we miss when we sprint. Progress isn't always speed. Sometimes it's continuing, even slowly. Elena still walks parts of her old routes. She says the views are better at walking pace. If you're always rushing, try walking a section today. Look around. Breathe. The finish line waits. It doesn't mind. No hurry here. Just slow steps in words. Restful English practice. The singer who whispered instead of shouting. Singers often belt out notes. Loud. High. Crowd-pleasing. There was one who whispered. Her name was Nora. She performed in small cafes. Dim lights. Few tables. No microphones sometimes. She sang so softly. You had to lean in. Words about lost loves. Quiet joys. Everyday wonders. Audiences grew silent. No clapping mid-song. Just listening. One night a loud group came. Talking. Laughing. They didn't notice her at first. Nora kept whispering. One by one they hushed. Drawn in. By the end, tears on faces. A man from the group said later, I've heard big concerts, but this felt personal. Like she sang for me. I asked Nora why whisper. She said gently, shouts fill the room. Whispers fill the heart. They make you come closer. Really hear. Soft sounds engage us more. The brain focuses harder. Feels intimacy. Connection. Loud loses impact fast. Nora sings on. Small crowds. Big feelings. If you share something, try whispering it. A story. A secret. A song. The quiet pulls people in. Feel the hush of this tale. Slow, peaceful English before sleep. The traveler who never left his room. Travelers chase far places, planes, maps, new sights, but one man traveled widest without moving. His name was Finn. He stayed in his small apartment, books on shelves, a window to the street, a comfortable chair. Every day he picked a book, or listened to a story, or stared at clouds. He went to ancient Rome in his mind, walked Amazon rivers, climbed Everest peaks, all from his seat. Friends pitied him. Why not go for real? He smiled. I do. Deeper. One friend visited, bored with his own trips, photos, souvenirs, but empty inside. Finn shared a tale. Imagine a desert at night, stars like diamonds, silence so thick you hear your heart. The friend closed his eyes, felt the sand, the cool air. For hours they traveled together. The friend left refreshed, like after a real vacation. I asked Finn his secret. He said, real travel tires the body. Mind travel rests it. And you can go anywhere, even places that don't exist yet. The brain loves stories. They activate the same parts as real experiences. You feel joy, wonder, without the hassle. Finn is older now, still in his room, but his journey's endless. If you're stuck at home, try a mental trip. Pick a place, close eyes, go slow. You'll arrive rested. Let this adventure linger softly. No maps needed. Just calm words in English. The artist who drew without a pencil. Most artists need tools, brushes, paints, canvases. But there was one who drew with his mind. His name was Leo. He lived in a quiet studio, windows open to the sky. No clutter, just a chair and empty walls. People came to see him work, but he didn't pick up a pencil. He sat still, eyes closed sometimes. He described what he saw inside. A red circle floating in blue mist. A tree bending like a whisper. Visitors listened. Then they saw it too in their heads, clearer than any paper drawing. At first they laughed, thought it was a trick, but soon they returned, asking for more. One young woman came. She was an artist herself. Stuck, no ideas. Leo asked her to sit. Then he said softly, close your eyes. What color do you feel today? She paused. Gray, like rain clouds. He nodded. Now add one small light. Where? In her mind she placed it, and suddenly a whole picture formed. She left with no paper, but full of art. I asked Leo why no real drawings. He smiled and said, a pencil limits you to lines. The mind has no edges. It draws forever, and everyone sees their own version. Imagination is powerful. When we describe simply, the brain fills in details, creates personal art, stronger than shared images. Leo still sits in his studio. No fame, no sales, but people leave changed. Their own artists now. If you're creating something, try closing your eyes first. Describe it out loud. The real art starts inside. No need to hold on to every word. Just let the quiet images form. Slow English like a gentle dream. The old fisherman who caught more by waiting. Медленный, спокойный темп чтения. Everyone wants quick results. Catch the fish fast. Win fast. Succeed fast. But the old fisherman knew better. His name was Javier. He lived by the sea. Small boat, worn nets, gray beard. Young men laughed at him. They used big motors, fancy equipment. They raced out early and came back bragging about full buckets. Javier left later. He rowed slowly, He sat still for hours. Sometimes he caught nothing. But when he came back, his boat was often heavier. One summer a young guy challenged him. Let's see who catches more in one day. They started at dawn. The young man sped off, cast nets everywhere, moved constantly. Javier went to his quiet spot, dropped anchor, waited, watched the water, listened to the waves. By noon the young man had a few small fish. He was tired, frustrated. Javier hadn't moved. Around sunset, the big fish came. They gathered under his boat. He pulled in slowly, one by one. Big, calm fish. He caught 3 times more. Then the young man. Afterward the young guy asked, "How? You barely moved." Javier looked at the sea and said, "Fish don't like noise. They don't like rush. They come when it's quiet. When you wait. If you chase them, they swim away. If you wait patiently, they find you." Life is like that too. We rush. We force things. Jobs, relationships, success. But often the best things come to those who wait, not passively, but with calm attention. Patience isn't weakness. It's wisdom. It's knowing when to act and when to simply be. Javier passed away last year. At his funeral, people didn't talk about how fast he was. They talked about how peaceful he looked, sitting on the water. If you're waiting for something now, a dream, an answer, a change, remember Javier. Don't chase so hard. Sit still sometimes. Listen to the waves. The good things often arrive when you stop running after them. Let this story rest with you. No hurry to remember it all. Just the slow rhythm of the words. The peace in waiting. That's enough for tonight. The woman who smiled instead of arguing. Arguments are loud. They feel strong in the moment, but they rarely change minds. There was a woman who almost never argued. Her name was Grace. She worked in customer service. People yelled at her every day. Complaints, insults, threats. Grace never raised her voice, never said, "You're wrong." She just listened. Then she smiled, a small, real smile. When someone shouted, she waited until they finished. Then she said softly, "I can see this is really upsetting. Let me help if I can." Most people calmed down, not because she agreed, but because she didn't fight back. One man was furious. His order was late. He called her names. Grace stayed quiet. When he paused for breath, she said, "I'm sorry this happened. It must feel unfair. What would make this right for you?" He stopped, thought, then said, "Just fix it. And maybe a small discount." She nodded. "I'll do both." He left the call calmer than he started. I asked Grace once how she stayed so peaceful. She said, "Arguing is like throwing wood on a fire. It gets bigger. Smiling and listening is like water. It doesn't fight the fire. It just makes it smaller." Studies show, when we feel heard, really heard, our stress hormones drop. We become open to solutions. Fighting closes doors. Calm opens them. Grace still works there. People ask for her by name, not because she wins arguments, but because she ends them without starting. Next time someone disagrees with you, try smiling first. Listen fully. The fight often disappears on its own. No rush to memorize. Just feel the softness in her way. Slow English sinking in quietly. The teacher who rarely gave answers. Most teachers love to explain everything. They fill every silence with words. They want students to understand right away. But the best teacher I ever had did the opposite. Her name was Ms. Clara. She taught math in high school. She was small, with silver hair in a bun. She spoke softly, almost like she was telling a secret. When a student asked a question, she almost never gave the answer directly. Instead, she asked back, "What do you think happens next? Try one small step. What do you see? Where does it feel stuck?" First, we hated it. We wanted quick fixes. We wanted her to just tell us. But she waited. She smiled patiently. She never looked annoyed. One day we had a hard geometry problem. No one could solve it. The class was loud with complaints. Miss Clara stood at the board. She drew nothing. She just asked, "If this shape was a room, where would you put the door?" "Why?" Someone laughed. Then someone said, "Maybe on the shortest side, so people don't bump into walls." She nodded slowly. "Then what?" We started talking, drawing on paper, arguing quietly. In 20 minutes, most of us had the solution, not because she told us, but because she let us find it. Later, I asked her why she never just explained. She said quietly, "If I give the answer, you remember it for one day. If you find it yourself, you remember it for life. And more important, you learn how to think." When I'm not there, science agrees. When we struggle a little and then succeed, the brain releases dopamine. We feel proud. We remember better. That's real learning. Not fast answers, but slow discovery. Miss Clara retired long ago, but her students still solve problems the same way, by asking quiet questions first. If you teach anyone, or even help a friend, try giving fewer answers. Give more questions. The growth happens in the waiting. Let this rest gently. No need to remember every word. Just the calm of not rushing. Good English practice for your ears. The neighbor who shared without speaking. Most people think sharing means giving things away, money, food, advice. But there was a neighbor who shared something deeper without ever saying a word. His name was Mr. Tanaka. He lived next door in a quiet suburban house. Small garden, wooden fence. Every morning he swept his sidewalk. Not just his part, the whole block. Silently. No hello unless you said it first. No small talk. People noticed. At first they thought he was odd. Odd means strange or unusual. But slowly something changed. When someone was sick, a small jar of homemade soup appeared on their porch. No note. When a child lost a ball over the fence, it came back the next day, cleaned. When snow fell heavy, his shovel moved quietly along driveways. Never asking for thanks. Never waiting to be seen. One winter my car wouldn't start. Battery dead. I was late for work. Frustrated. I came out to find Mr. Tanaka already there. Jumper cables connected. Engine running. He didn't say much. Just nodded when I thanked him. Then walked away. I asked around. Everyone had a story. The single mom down the street. He fixed her leaking roof one rainy night. The old man across. Fresh vegetables from his garden every week. All without words. Later I finally spoke to him. "Why do you help so much without talking about it?" He looked at the sky for a moment, then said softly, "Words can be heavy sometimes. Actions are lighter. They land where they need to, without asking permission." That stayed with me. Here's something most people miss. Silent help builds trust faster than loud promises. When someone does something kind without expecting credit, the brain registers it as genuine. No strings attached. No hidden agenda. That's real sharing. Mr. Tanaka passed quietly last year. At his memorial, people didn't give speeches. They just stood in his garden. Some brought flowers. Some swept the path. No one needed to say anything. His sharing continued, even after he was gone. If you want to connect deeper, try sharing without announcement. A small act, no explanation needed. The meaning arrives on its own. Let this story settle slowly, like evening light on a quiet street. Your English ear rests with the calm rhythm. The grandfather who fixed things by doing nothing. When something breaks, most of us rush to fix it. We panic. We force. We make it worse. My grandfather was different. He was a quiet man. Old overalls. Slow walk. When a machine stopped working, a car, a clock, a radio, he didn't jump in with tools. He sat. He looked. He listened. Sometimes for hours. One winter the old tractor died. My father was angry. He kicked it. He cursed. He tried everything fast. Grandpa just sat on a bucket nearby, smoking his pipe, watching. After 2 days my father gave up. "Throw it away," he said. Grandpa stood up slowly. He opened the engine cover, touched one small wire, moved it half a centimeter. The tractor started. I asked him later, "How did you know?" He smiled and said, "Most problems shout, but the real ones whisper. You have to be quiet long enough to hear the whisper." Life works the same. We rush to fix relationships, careers, moods. We force changes. Often we break more. But sometimes the best fix is to sit still, observe, wait for the small whisper, the one real thing that's wrong. Grandpa is gone now, but his tractor still runs. And when I'm stuck, I try to sit like he did. No rush, just presence. The answer usually comes when I stop chasing it. Let this story breathe, like a long, slow breath before sleep. Your English ear thanks you. The chef who cooked with fewer ingredients. Most chefs chase complexity. More spices, more steps, more show. There was one who went the other way. His name was Marco. He ran a tiny restaurant in a side street. 10 tables. No menu on the wall. Just today's dish. People came anyway. Marco used what was fresh that day. Whatever the market gave him. Often only 4 or 5 ingredients. A tomato, basil, garlic, olive oil, salt. He cooked slowly, tasted, adjusted, served. One critic came famous, picky. He expected extravagance. Instead, Marco brought a simple pasta, red sauce, hand-torn basil. The critic tasted, closed his eyes, quiet for a long time. Then he said, "This is the best thing I've eaten all year." I asked Marco his secret. He wiped his hands on his apron and said, "Too many ingredients fight each other. Too many flavors hide the truth. When you use less, each one has to be perfect. And the food speaks for itself. Life mirrors this. We add more plans, more goals, more stuff, thinking it makes us better. Often it just creates noise. Simplicity lets the essential shine. A few good things done well carry more meaning than a crowded plate. Marco's restaurant is still small, still no big signs, but people wait weeks for a table, not for fancy, for honest. Try cooking or living with less sometimes. Fewer things, more care. The flavor deepens. Let the story simmer gently, like slow sauce on low heat. Easy English for quiet nights. The child who taught adults how to play. Children play naturally. They invent rules. They laugh at nothing. Adults forget how. There was a little girl who reminded a whole street of adults. Her name was Lily, 6 years old. Big curly hair, always in mismatched socks. The neighborhood was busy. People rushing. Phones. Work. Stress. Lily played in her front yard every afternoon. She built forts from boxes. She talked to flowers. She danced when it rained. Adults walked by hurried. Some smiled politely. Most ignored her. One day she set up a free hug sign. Handwritten. Crayon colors. She stood there with open arms. At first no one stopped. Then an old man did. Mr. Ruiz. He hadn't smiled in months since his wife died. He bent down. Lily hugged him tight. He hugged back. Tears in his eyes. Word spread quietly. Next day more people came. A stressed mom. A teenager with headphones. A businessman on his phone. Lily hugged them all. No questions. No judgment. Just arms. She taught them to play too. She pulled the mom into a silly dance. Made the teen chase bubbles. Told the businessman they were pirates looking for treasure. Laughter returned to the street. People lingered. Talked. Played. I asked Lily's mom how it started. She said, Lily doesn't know adults are supposed to be serious. She just sees people who need joy, and she gives it. Here's a simple truth. Play lowers stress hormones, connects us, reminds us we're human, not just machines. Children know this instinctively. Adults relearn it slowly. Lily is older now, but the street still plays sometimes. A game of tag, a water fight, a group sitting on lawns telling stories. Because one child showed them, joy isn't earned, it's shared freely. If you feel heavy today, try playing for 5 minutes. Blow bubbles. Skip. Laugh at yourself. The child inside still knows how. Let this lightness stay with you. Slow words. Gentle memory. The boss who asked questions instead of giving orders. Most bosses tell people what to do. Do this. Fix that. Faster. But the best boss I ever had almost never told us what to do. She asked questions. Her name was Sarah. She ran a small design team. Everyone was talented, but we often got stuck. Deadlines, arguments, burnout. Sarah never shouted. Never said, because I said so. Instead, she sat with us and asked things like, what's the real problem here? What have we tried already? What would happen if we did the opposite? At first it felt slow. We wanted answers. We wanted direction. But her questions made us think, really think. One project was failing. The client hated every version. The team was frustrated. We were ready to give up. Sarah came in. No lecture. She just asked if the client could say one sentence about what they truly want, what would it be? Silence. Then someone said, they wanted to feel warm, not cold and corporate. Sarah nodded, then asked, what would warm look like to you? We started talking. Ideas flowed. Colors, textures, stories behind the design. In 1 hour, we had a new direction, one we all believed in. The project turned around. The client loved it. Later, I asked Sarah why she led with questions. She smiled and said, if I give orders, I get obedience. But if I ask questions, I get ownership. People fight harder for ideas they helped create. And they learn. They grow. That's how teams become strong. Psychology backs this up. When leaders ask instead of tell, people feel respected. Their motivation lasts longer. Creativity goes up. Mistakes go down. Because everyone thinks before acting. Great leaders don't need to know everything. They need to help others discover it. Sarah left the company years ago, but her habit stayed. Now, when I'm stuck, I hear her voice in my head. What's the real question here? So if you lead anyone, a team, kids, friends, try asking more. Tell less. The answers you get, might surprise you. No need to memorize. Just feel the calm of those questions. Let the slow English sink in. Good night. The gardener who trusted the seasons. Медленный, спокойный темп чтения. Most of us fight time. We want spring now. Flowers today. Results yesterday. There was a gardener who didn't. His name was Amos. Old hands. Bent back. Big plot behind his house. He planted in fall. Waited through winter. No green. Just cold earth. Neighbors asked, "Why bother? Nothing grows." He smiled. Seeds know when. Come spring, tulips, daffodils everywhere. Bright, strong. Summer, tomatoes heavy on vines. Herbs thick. He picked slowly. Shared with anyone who passed. He never forced. Never overwatered. Never worried. I asked his secret. He said, "Plants don't rush. They rest. They wait for the right moment. If I trust that, they give more than I expect." Life has seasons too. We push in winter phases. Grief waiting quiet times. We think we're failing. But rest is preparation. Trusting the cycle brings stronger growth. Amos's garden feeds the street still. He says, "Patience isn't waiting. It's believing." If you're in a winter season now, plant anyway. Small seeds. Trust time. Spring comes. Let this story grow quietly in you, like roots under snow. Easy, slow English to end the day.
The elder who spoke only at sunset, in a small mountain village, where the days were long and the nights came early, lived an old man named Elias. He was the oldest person anyone could remember. White hair like winter snow, hands rough from decades of stone work, eyes deep and quiet like mountain lakes at dawn. For many years, Elias spoke very little during the day. He greeted people with a nod. He helped carry wood or fix a fence without being asked. He listened to children's stories. He watched the goats graze on the steep hills. But words? Almost none until the sun touched the western ridge. Every evening, as the light turned gold and then soft orange, Elias walked to the same flat rock above the village. He sat there alone. The children knew. When the first shadow touched the church bell, he would begin to speak, not to everyone at once, not loudly. He spoke to the wind first, then to whoever came close enough to hear. His voice was low, like gravel rolling slowly down a stream. He told one story each sunset, only one, and he never repeated it. Sometimes it was about a boy who lost his way in the fog and found home by following the smell of bread. Sometimes about a woman who planted a single seed after a fire and waited 20 years for the first flower. Sometimes about the river that never hurried, but always reached the sea. The villagers gathered quietly below the rock. They didn't interrupt. They didn't ask questions right away. They just listened. Even the dogs stopped barking. Even the wind seemed to pause. One autumn, a young man from the city came to the village. His name was Mateo. He was tired of noise, of screens, of endless hurry. He had come to rest, but rest felt impossible. His mind raced even when his body sat still. He heard about Elias. At first he smiled, another old man with old tales, he thought. But on the third evening, curiosity pulled him up the path. He sat far back, arms crossed. The sun dipped. Elias began. This time the story was simple. There was once a man who carried a heavy stone in his pocket. Every day he felt its weight. He showed it to others. "Look how heavy my burden is." People nodded. They pitied him. They offered to carry it for a while. But he always took it back. One evening he sat by the river. The water moved without effort. He took the stone out, held it, then let it fall into the current. It sank slowly. The river didn't complain. It just kept flowing. The next morning his pocket was empty. He walked lighter, not because the stone was gone, but because he had finally stopped holding it. Matteo felt something shift inside. Not dramatic, just a small loosening. He came back the next evening, and the next. Months passed. Matteo stayed in the village longer than planned. He helped Elias carry water sometimes. He learned to sit without speaking. He watched sunsets without checking his phone. One day he asked Elias, during the day quietly while they mended a stone wall, "Why only at sunset? Why not in the morning when everyone is fresh?" Elias set down a stone, looked at the sky for a long time. "Because the day is full of doing," he said. "People run, they plan, they argue. Their ears are closed tight. At sunset the light softens. The body tires. The heart opens a little. That's when words can enter, not to fill the mind, but to rest in it. And one story at a time is enough. More would be noise. Here's something few people notice until life slows them down. The human mind can hold only so much in one day. New information crowds out the old. But when we wait until the quiet hour, when distractions fade, a single truth can sink deep, can change us without force. Elias understood timing. Not every moment is for speaking. Some moments are for letting silence prepare the ground. Years later, Elias grew too weak to climb the rock. The villagers worried. Who would speak at sunset now? On his last evening, they carried him gently to the flat stone. He sat wrapped in blankets. The sun touched the ridge one final time. He spoke no new story. Instead he said very slowly, "You already know the stories. I only reminded you. Now when the light fades, sit still. Listen to what your own heart whispers. That's where the next story begins." He closed his eyes. The village stayed silent long after the sun disappeared. Matteo never left the village. He became the one who sat on the rock at sunset. He spoke one story each evening. Never more, never less. People came from farther away now, not for entertainment, for the quiet, for the reminder that less can be deeper. If your days feel too full, too loud, too fast, try this. Wait for your own sunset moment. A quiet hour. No phone. No rush. Sit. Breathe. Let one thought, one memory, one feeling arrive slowly. Don't force words. Just listen. Often that's when the real story, your story, finally begins to unfold. You don't need to You don't need to hold every detail of Elias's life. Just let the feeling stay. The peace of one story at the right time. The power of waiting until the light is soft. Let your English ear rest in the slow rhythm, like sitting on a warm rock as evening comes. That's more than enough.